Hey everyone, tonight we're trading soft pillows for sand, sweat and sandals, stepping into the grueling world of a Roman legionary. Forget togas, feasts and marble columns. This is the side of ancient Rome where blisters outnumber coins, where the only music is clashing shields and barked orders, and where comfort means not getting stabbed before breakfast. Imagine waking before dawn to the sound of a horn, hoisting gear that weighs more than your younger sibling, and marching miles under the beating sun, only to build a camp from scratch when you get there. Discipline is everything. Rest is a myth. And complaining? That earns you more sand to dig. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, let your mind wander, and allow the gentle rhythm of my voice to lull you towards sleep. Maybe settle in, pull your blanket a little closer, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The decision which wasn't always yours. Let's assume, for the sake of fantasy, that you voluntarily decided to become a Roman legionary, that you weren't conscripted, coerced, or extremely drunk when you sign the scroll. You want glory, honour, maybe even a little gold. That's adorable. What you get instead is 25 years of being told what to do by men who yell a lot and shave less, sleeping under animal hides next to people named Spurious, and slowly forgetting what warm water feels like. You begin your journey at the recruitment office. It smells like sweat, vinegar, and broken dreams. A scribe sizes you up with the clinical apathy of someone who's seen too many hopefuls. He nods. You pass the first test. You still have most of your teeth. Then comes the oath, the sacramentum. You swear to obey your commanders, to never desert, to endure hardship, and, this is important, to kill whoever they tell you to kill, even if it's inconvenient. You are now, legally and spiritually, the army's property. Congratulations, there's no going back. The haircut, the uniform, and the sandals of pain. You're immediately escorted to a low stone building where your transformation begins. First, the haircut. The Roman army does not do man buns or artistic fringe. You are shaved, brutally. Next, the tunic. It is brown. It smells faintly of wool, sweat, and resignation. You're issued a belt with jangly metal plates. Decorative, but also great for announcing your approach like a one-man percussion section. Then, the caligae, military sandals, open-toed, tightly strapped, and cleverly designed to give you blisters in new and exciting shapes. You're told these will be your best friends. They will, in fact, betray you. Third, welcome to basic training, also known as endless marching. You're introduced to your centurion. He has one eye, 17 scars, and a voice like gravel soaked in vinegar. His job is to turn you into something resembling a soldier. Your job is to not cry. The first lesson, marching. Not casual walking, marching, in formation, at speed, with 40 kilograms of gear strapped to your back, uphill, both ways. You march for hours. You march until your shoulders feel like pudding and your feet resemble something you'd find in a Roman kitchen and politely not ask about. At some point you realise no one has explained what you're marching toward. This is not an oversight. Fourth discipline, or why everything is a punishable offence. You forget to tie your belt properly? Punishment. You drop your gladius? Punishment. You sneeze during a formation? Definitely punishment. Roman military discipline is not subtle. It operates on a scale from stern glare to public flogging, to stoned to death by your fellow soldiers. You learn to appreciate the stern glare. You also learn the phrase decimation. It does not mean what you think. If a unit deserts or performs poorly, every 10th man is chosen, by lot, to be executed by the other 9. You hear this and immediately begin sleeping with one eye open. You are suddenly very interested in punctuality. V. The food situation. Hope you like barley. Your first meal as a soldier is uninspiring. Barley porridge, dried fruit, a piece of hard cheese that might be older than you, and a piece of bread that could be used as building material. You ask about meat. They laugh. You ask about wine. They hand you vinegar water and call it posca. You try it. It tastes like regret. You chew thoughtfully. Across the table, someone named Publius is gnawing on a bit of old pork and staring into the void. 6th. Learning to kill badly. Your weapons training begins with a wooden sword that is bafflingly heavier than a real one. You're told this is to build strength. You swing it once. Your shoulder detaches. You spar with another recruit. He accidentally hits you in the ribs. You make a sound like a dropped wineskin. The centurion yells at both of you. You miss your mother. Eventually you're introduced to the gladius, short, stubby, and meant for stabbing, not swinging. You're told to aim low, belly, thighs, groin. This is how the Romans fight. Honour is for statues. You're here to make someone bleed and move on. 7th, sleeping arrangements, also known as bonding by smell. At night, you sleep in a contubernium, a shared tent with 7 other soldiers. It smells like men, damp wool, and terrible decisions. You get a straw mattress, a blanket, and the soothing lullaby of someone coughing up a lung nearby. Privacy does not exist. Modesty died at the front gate. You try to sleep. You dream of warm baths and bread that doesn't taste like limestone. You wake up sore, and it's only been day 1. South. You've survived your first bewildering steps into the world of Roman military life. You've been shouted at by a man who speaks entirely in imperatives. You've been issued a sword that smells like last week's goat, and you've been assigned a bed in a room filled with snoring strangers who smell like olive oil and anxiety. Congratulations. Now you march. And no, not a brisk stroll through the countryside, not a scenic wander past hills and vineyards, not even a long walk to a nearby tavern. This is marching in the Roman sense, which is to say, it is relentless, repetitive, and entirely devoid of joy. The sandals. Oh, the sandals. Let's start with your feet, because they will, quite literally, carry the burden of empire. You're wearing caligae, Roman military sandals. At first glance they seem clever. Leather straps, hobnailed soles, an open design that keeps your feet cool in the Mediterranean sun. Genius, right? Wrong. Within the first mile, your feet are bleeding. Within the second, they are no longer part of your body but have become distant, blistered acquaintances. The hobnails, intended to grip the ground, instead conspire against you, catching on every uneven stone and adding a delightful metallic clack to your misery. You look around. No one else seems to notice the pain. Either they've numbed themselves with years of suffering, or they're too tired to care. One man is chewing something that might be bark. Another has tied his sandal with what looks suspiciously like a strip of his own tunic. You consider doing the same. The marching rhythm. A centurion barks out a cadence. It is not musical. It is more of a guttural thunder, like someone arguing with a volcano. Sinistra, dextra, sinistra, dextra, left, right, left, right. The goal is 20 Roman miles a day. That's about 18 modern miles on uneven terrain. in armour, with weapons, carrying your gear, in sandals. Did we mention the sandals? You pass a milestone, a literal one, made of carved stone, and someone cheers faintly. Then you pass a skeleton of a mule with what looks like a rusted helmet near it. No one comments. You begin to suspect that enthusiasm is a punishable offence. Your pack, aka the Sarkana, you're carrying everything you own. This includes your spare tunic, rations, tools, cooking equipment, entrenching gear, personal items, and part of a tent. The Sarkana is your burden, your curse, and your constant companion. It creaks, it shifts, it digs into your shoulders. You adjust it. It adjusts back. You consider naming it. You settle on Marcus. Marcus is heavy, and the longer you carry him, the more convinced you are that Roman soldiers didn't conquer the world out of ambition. They just really needed to find somewhere to sit down. Rations on the road. Around midday you break for food. Break, in this case, means stopping just long enough to gnaw on hardtack so dense it could double as a paving stone. You chew for 10 minutes and still haven't made progress. You try the cheese. It tastes like an insult. You try the wine. It is warm, vinegary, and oddly comforting. You drink more. You regret it immediately. A comrade offers you a fig. You take it. It is the highlight of your day. Then you march again. The weather is not your friend. It starts to rain. Not a gentle drizzle, but a Roman storm, the kind that makes you question the motives of the gods. Your sandals squelch. Your tunic clings to you like a needy octopus. The centurion is shouting again. You can't hear him. You nod anyway. Lightning flashes. You look up. Mistake. The rain gets in your eyes. Camp building. Surprise! You're not done. At sunset, you think, surely this is it. Surely now we rest. You think wrong. The order is given. Castra facer. Make camp. Roman soldiers do not sleep in inns. They do not crash in haylofts. They build a fully functional fortified camp. Every single night. You're assigned to ditch digging duty. With a short shovel. In mud. You dig. You sweat. You feel a cramp that might be permanent. Then you carry logs. Then you help set up tents. Then you're told to go find firewood. By now it's dark. You trip over something. It turns out to be another recruit asleep under his shield. He grunts. You apologise. He doesn't respond. You finally get your own tent set up. You climb inside. It's damp. It smells like despair. You try to sleep. You can't. Your legs ache. Your shoulders throb. You miss chairs. Someone nearby is singing softly to themselves. A song about home, you think. You can't make out the words. You listen anyway. Eventually you sleep. For 4 hours. Because then the horn blows. The night watch. It's your turn. You stumble out of the tent. You find your assigned position. You try to look alert. It's cold. Your fingers are stiff. You grip your spear and wonder how many more hours until sunrise. A fox darts past. You jump. A nearby soldier laughs. You mutter something about foxes being sacred to Mars. He says you're thinking of wolves. You nod. Whatever. Eventually the night ends. The horn sounds again. Another day begins. And your legs somehow still work. It's early morning now. The dew is still on the grass. Somewhere a bird is chirping optimistically. It has clearly never seen battle. You're not well rested. Your shoulders ache from the march. Your sandals are caked with mud. You think you might still be dreaming, except that in dreams your legs don't cramp quite so violently. The camp is already bustling. Legionaries are tightening armour straps, sharpening swords, adjusting their caligae. No one is speaking unless necessary. There is an edge in the air. Not fear exactly. More like grim certainty. You feel it too. Because today is a training day, and training, in Roman terms, makes real battle feel like a spa day by comparison. Welcome to the testudo, or please stop hitting me with a stick. You line up with your contubernum, your unit of 8. A centurion, possibly carved from basalt, glares at you all with quiet disdain. Today you're learning formations. Sounds fun, right? It is not. First up, the testudo. It means tortoise, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A tightly packed wall of overlapping shields on all sides and over your head. It's designed to protect the legion from arrows, rocks, boiling oil, harsh language, anything the enemy might throw. You lower your front shield, you raise your top shield, you bump into the man next to you. He glares. You whisper, sorry. He doesn't reply. Someone's shield is off angle. The centurion notices. He walks slowly through the formation, correcting posture by smacking shins with a vine staff. You get hit. You nod in acceptance. This is your life now. You hold the testudo for 20 minutes. It's hot. It's cramped. You can smell the man in front of you. He smells like turnips and fear. Then, without warning, the centurion throws a bag of sand at your face. "Enemy missile!" he shouts. You yelp. Everyone groans. The formation wobbles. The testudo collapses. You're told to do it again. Swordplay for people who've never held a sword. Next, gladius training. You're handed a wooden sword. It is heavier than it looks. It is also splintered. The instructor demonstrates the proper thrust. Not a swing, never a swing. The Roman gladius is short and meant for stabbing. Swinging's for barbarians, and for idiots. You stab the straw dummy. It bounces off harmlessly. The centurion sighs. He takes your sword and shows you how it's done. He stabs the dummy. The dummy dies instantly and with great dignity. You try again. This time you manage to dent the straw's feelings. He nods. Progress. The art of not dying in formation. Now comes manipular formation training. You're packed into rows, 3 deep, with barely enough room to scratch your nose. Your job is simple. Hold the line, move as one, don't die. You practice advancing, you trip, you practice retreating. You run into someone's shield, you're rotated to the front rank. A whistle blows. Suddenly the instructor from earlier, or the one with anger issues, charges at you with a stick and yells in Gaulish. You freeze. He whacks you in the ribs. You yelp. He shouts, "You're dead!" You aren't. But emotionally, yes. Javelins, shields, and existential dread. Now you're given a pilum, the Roman javelin. It's long, iron-tipped, and surprisingly bendy. You're told to throw it at a target downrange. You hurl it with all your might. It hits a tree. Barely. The instructor grunts. Better than missing. Then he explains why the pilum is designed to bend, so the enemy can't throw it back. You nod solemnly, then realise what that implies. You look at your own shield, already covered, in dents and someone's lunch stain. You suddenly feel very exposed. Lunch, maybe later. First, the arena of pain. You think it's time for lunch. You're wrong. Now comes mock battle. You are paired with another recruit. His name is Lucius. He has arms like temple columns. You are given blunt weapons and told not to hold back. You try to smile at Lucius. He does not smile back. You begin. He hits you in the shoulder. You drop your sword. You pick it up. He hits you again. This time in the leg. You begin to suspect Lucius has unresolved issues. Eventually the centurion calls a halt. You are bleeding from your pride. Lucius claps you on the back. You lasted longer than the last one. You're unsure if this is a compliment. Why the Romans conquered everything. It wasn't the olive oil. As the day winds down, You collapse under a tree. Every part of you hurts. Your sword hand is numb. Your calves are plotting rebellion. You ask a fellow legionary, "Does it get easier?" He shrugs. "Number. But you get better at pretending it doesn't hurt." You stare at your shield. You remember your mother's face. You wonder what she would say if she saw you now, bruised, sore, and covered in someone else's sweat. Probably something encouraging. Probably something wise. You try to summon that inner strength, but instead you get a cramp. You lie down. Tomorrow, you're told, is river fording practice. You don't know what that means yet, but you're sure you won't like it. You've now survived a full day of training. Congratulations. Your muscles ache in places you didn't know could ache. Your tunic smells like despair. Your sword is dented. Your pride is cracked. And your sandals have developed a distinct personality. And yet, you're still here. Unfortunately, so is your centurion. And he has a new order for you. Pack up. You're marching out. You ask where you're going. He tells you, east. You ask what's east. He says, experience. That's never a good answer. The Roman march, now with bonus blisters. You are issued rations, dried meat, barley, a chunk of cheese that may or may not be alive. You tie them to your pack and lift your gear. It's heavy, not just oof, heavy. It's, my spine wasn't warned, heavy. Your sarkina, your soldier's pack, includes a cloak, a pot, a saw, a shovel, a pickaxe, stakes for a camp palisade, food for days, and your shield. It's basically a mobile hardware store strapped to your back. You line up, the trumpet sounds, and you begin to march. Roman pace is no joke. 20 miles a day, in full kit, no complaining, no stopping, no sightseeing. Even if the countryside looks like a fresco come to life, you meet the enemy. It is mud. About 5 miles in, the road disappears. It becomes something else, something ancient, something cruel. Mud. Roman engineers were famous for their roads, but you're not on a road anymore. You're on a shortcut, which in Latin means trail designed to ruin your will to live. Your sandals suck at the earth. You slip. You curse. You keep moving. The man in front of you smells like onions. The man behind you sings softly to himself about wine. You begin to question your choices. Your centurion yells, "Close ranks," even though there is clearly no room. You close ranks anyway. It doesn't help. A quick detour into bandit country midday. The line halts. You're told to fan out. Scouting practice, someone says. And, adds another, bandit warning. You're given a basic formation, crescent shape, shields forward, eyes sharp. You march into a grove of trees that absolutely looks like the kind of place people get ambushed and or turned into tragic myths. You clutch your sword. Every squirrel is a potential threat. Suddenly a shout. You spin around. It's not bandits. It's a goat. A very angry goat. Apparently you've entered someone's pasture. The farmer is yelling. The goat is charging. One of your comrades falls over laughing. You survive. Barely. The goat is undefeated. Evening falls. You build a fortress. Because of course you do. Finally, the centurion calls a halt. You think, thank Jupiter, we can rest. Now you build camp. The Roman army did this every single night. A ditch, a rampart, stakes in the ground, guard posts, tents in rows. It's not camping, it's urban planning. You help dig a trench. Your hands blister. You mutter things under your breath. The centurion walks by and raises an eyebrow. You smile and say something about honour. He doesn't buy it. By moonlight you erect a palisade. You hammer in stakes. You accidentally hit your thumb. You resist the urge to scream. Finally your tent is ready. It's small, crowded, and smells like 10 men sharing regrets. You lie down. Then you're told, night watch. You cry a little inside, you stand guard. You see things. Some of them are definitely real. Your watch is from the 2nd to 3rd vigil, roughly 9 p.m. to midnight. You hold your spear. You scan the darkness. You wonder how many of your comrades are pretending to be asleep. You hear an owl, you hear a rustle, you hear your own thoughts. They're not comforting. A fellow guard leans over. Once saw a Gaul sneak up through the latrines. You nod solemnly. You have no idea how to respond to that. The wind picks up. A tent flaps. Someone coughs. A boar grunts in the distance. You begin to fantasize about retirement. Maybe you could run a tavern, serve lentils, write bad poetry. Midnight comes. You're relieved. You sleep like a rock with lower back problems. At dawn, it begins again. The trumpet sounds at dawn. You open your eyes. Your breath is fogging in the air. Your limbs are made of wood. Your spine has declared a holiday. And still you rise. Because you're a Roman legionary now, sort of. You get up. You eat stale bread, you pack your gear, you march, and you don't ask where, because you already know the answer. East. Always east. Another day, another 20 miles of glorious ankle torture. By now your feet are held together by sheer willpower and primitive bandages. Your shield has a dent that looks suspiciously like the shape of your commanding officer's knee. And your sword. Still mostly ornamental, but today isn't about marching. No, today is about diplomacy, which in Roman terms is less about wine and words and more about shouting in Latin until someone either submits or gets catapulted into submission. Let's set the scene. You arrive at a hostile settlement, which means it has a gate. The scouts report a town up ahead. It's small, wooden, suspiciously fortified, and full of very nervous people with excellent aim and terrible manners. Your centurion consults the standard Roman military playbook. 1. Offer terms. 2. Get ignored. 3. Build siege weapons. 4. Burn everything. You're now part of this process. You stand in the front row as the town elders come out, squinting suspiciously. One of them is holding a chicken. Another is already crying. This bodes well. Your officer steps forward. He raises a scroll, begins reading. It's very formal and very Latin. It says essentially, join us, or we will make joining us your only remaining option. The elders whisper. There's nodding. Then someone throws a rock. That settles it. Time for siege mode. Roman siege prep, aka DIY mayhem with trees. Your unit begins construction. Yes, you're building siege engines. You don't know how. You barely know which end of the hammer to hold, but there's a manual. And a guy named Publius who once watched a ballista being built and now insists he's an expert. Under his confident but deeply flawed direction, you begin sawing timber, lashing rope, and muttering threats to the laws of physics. Eventually something vaguely terrifying emerges. The ballista. It looks like a giant crossbow married a siege tower and had a child built entirely of bad ideas and tension. Your job? Crank it. You crank it. And crank it. You have no idea what you're doing. First shot, a complete success, if you ignore where it landed. The officer shouts, "Test fire!" You duck. The ballista fires. The bolt sails magnificently through the air and lands 3 feet in front of the machine, embedding itself in a cabbage. There is silence. Someone coughs, someone else claps politely. You try again. This time, it hits the wall. Direct hit. Everyone cheers. You're fairly certain that was luck. Meanwhile, a diplomatic mission fails in real time. While you're busy playing siege carpenter, your centurion has sent another group to talk things out. One last time. They return half an hour later, covered in dung and missing a helmet. The message is clear. No one wants peace, which means you don't get dinner until the gate comes down. You are now highly motivated, breaching a gate the Roman way, with fire and bad tempers. By dusk, the plan is in motion. You and a few unlucky comrades are selected to carry torches to the gate. It's wooden, old, flammable, perfect. Unfortunately, the townspeople have figured that out and started throwing things. Rocks, pots, goats. You dodge a surprisingly aerodynamic loaf of bread. One of your fellow soldiers yells, "For Rome!" and hurls a flaming bundle into the gate. It catches. You cheer. Then an arrow hits the guy next to you and everyone stops cheering. The gate begins to burn. You retreat. Everyone watches. Slowly, gloriously, the structure collapses. There is applause, possibly from your own side, possibly from a very impressed goat. Aftermath. Looting, lectures, and a very polite pile of severed heads. With the town subdued, red flattened. You're told not to loot anything important. This instruction is vague. You take a loaf of bread. It's still warm. Victory tastes like sourdough. Then the centurion gives a speech. He talks about honour, duty, and the importance of spreading civilization, while standing next to a building that's still smouldering. You nod. Everyone nods. No one is listening. Finally, the Legion's engineer walks by, holding a small catapult like it's a pet. "We'll improve next time," he says. You hope that's a promise, or a threat. Hard to tell. You camp just outside the smoking ruins. That night you sleep next to the remnants of a hall you helped knock down. You dream of better walls, and maybe of becoming a scribe or a fishmonger. Anything that doesn't involve being used as human battering ram. Just as you're about to fall asleep, someone whispers, "Tomorrow, bridge building." You don't ask why. You know better now. Congratulations. You've survived marching, shouting, catapulting, and at least one semi-intentional fire. And now, as the sun rises over the charred remnants of last night's negotiations, you're faced with a brand new challenge. Water. Specifically, a wide, angry-looking river. It flows lazily but menacingly, like a crocodile that's eaten and is now pretending to nap. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You guessed it. You're going to build a bridge. Step 1. Complain quietly, while cutting down trees. The order is clear. Your centurion points at the forest and says, "Materials." That's legionary for, "Cut down enough trees to recreate the entire province of Gaul in planks." You grab a saw. You don't know how to use a saw. Neither does your buddy Titus, who's already bleeding. Together, you and your comrades hack down trees with the grace of sleep-deprived beavers. The forest echoes with curses cracking wood and the occasional scream when a branch lands on someone's helmet. A few hours later, you're sweaty, sap-covered, and absolutely covered in ants. But you've got logs, sort of straight ones. Step 2. Engineering for the deeply unqualified. Your commanding officer unrolls a bridge plan. It is a drawing of a bridge. It is not helpful. There are arrows, symbols, and something that might be a fish or a person drowning. Your job? Dig. Place logs vertically in the river. Fasten planks. Don't fall in. Also, hurry. There's a strict schedule of conquering to maintain. You wade into the water. It is cold. Very cold. Your knees file for early retirement. You drop a log. It floats away. You're yelled at. You drop another. It lands on your foot. You're yelled at again. Louder. Progress is made, but mostly through brute force, divine intervention, and the raw spite of 20 men trying to impress one engineer who insists you're holding it wrong. Meanwhile, the locals are watching and laughing. Across the river, a few villagers stand on a hill. They watch silently, occasionally pointing. One of them waves, another throws a stick which almost hits you. You begin to suspect you're not being taken seriously. Step 3. The bridge works if you don't look at it too hard. After 2 days of backbreaking labour, near drownings, and the reinvention of 15 curse words, the bridge is complete. That is, it holds weight, mostly. Your centurion tests it by walking across with arms folded like a disappointed father. It creaks, it groans, it holds. There is applause. Someone starts singing. You take one cautious step onto it. It doesn't collapse. You almost cry. Step 4. Oh, right. The river's not the problem anymore. As your unit begins crossing, you hear the sound every Roman soldier dreads. Horns, not the musical kind. The kind that means, congratulations, you're being ambushed again. The hillside opposite the bridge explodes into movement. Shouting figures, flashing spears, banners in the wind. It's the locals. They waited until the bridge was built. Then they attacked. You have to admire the strategy. You also have to run. The Roman response, panic, followed by organised panic. Your centurion doesn't panic. He orders a testudo, the tortoise formation. You crouch, you lift your shield, you pray. Missiles rain down like angry pigeons. You hold, then you advance. The enemy, seeing this wall of organised annoyed bronze, begins to waver. Your unit presses forward, up the slope, shields raised, feet aching, absolutely furious about the timing. After a few minutes of brutal shouting and regrettable spear usage, the hillside clears. The locals flee. The centurion nods. Next time, he mutters, they build the bridge. Post-battle debriefing, mud, glory, and a slightly bent javelin. You collapse in the grass, soaked and muddy. You've aged 15 years. Your javelin is bent. Your shield is cracked. Your dignity is missing. But the bridge stands. You did it. You're technically a Roman engineer now. A very tired, very sore, very unqualified one. Night falls. You sleep on a rock. The rock wins. That night, camp is set near the river. You eat half-cooked grain, stare at the stars, and try to remember what your original career goals were. A voice nearby says, tomorrow's the fun part. You don't ask, you're learning. Never ask, you wake up stiff, sore, and vaguely furious at the concept of rivers. Your tunic is damp. Your sandals are a different colour than they were yesterday. A bee is investigating your ear. You've made it through a full week in the Roman legion. And somehow, you're still here. The calm, before the triumph camp is quiet this morning. Not the tense quiet of ambushes or weather-related disasters, just stillness. The kind of quiet that happens when no one wants to be the first to move. The men around you are silent, eating cold lentils like they're pearls of divine wisdom. Even your centurion is less shouty than usual. There's a feeling in the air, not dread, not fatigue, but something softer, something like relief. The Optio's visit and a confusing compliment. The Optio, second in command, makes a rare appearance near your tent. He squints at you like he's trying to remember if you're the one who set the latrine ditch on fire or not. Then he nods. Not bad, he says. You stare at him. Was that praise? He walks away. You feel strangely accomplished. Confused, but accomplished. The ceremony of absolutely not crying in front of everyone. Later that day, the unit is called to gather. It's not a full triumph. You didn't conquer an entire province. But there's wine, laurel wreaths, and a man trying to play a trumpet made from a goat's horn. You stand in formation. You look like a soldier, sort of. The commander, someone who hasn't marched a single mile in months, gives a speech about valor and duty and the glories of Rome. You stop listening after valor. Your feet hurt too much. Then someone calls your name. You shuffle forward, unsure whether you're being honoured or punished. You're handed a small token, a bronze Valora, a round medal of service. It's slightly bent. You take it. You nod. You walk back. And you feel something unexpected, a flicker of pride. The return march, fewer blisters, more singing. The march back isn't easier. Your legs still ache. Your equipment still jingles like an angry kitchen drawer. But it feels different now. You sing with the others, badly, but with heart. You share dates from your pouch. You even laugh, once. You pass a few farms. Children wave. A goat sneezes on your tunic. By the time you return to your original post, you're dirty, sunburnt, and, astonishingly, still alive. The dismissal and the deepest sleep in recorded history. Back at the fort, your cohort is dismissed for the evening. You don't celebrate. You don't talk. You find a quiet corner, remove your sandals and lie down on the dirt floor with a sigh that echoes through the universe. You close your eyes. You dream of rivers that don't need bridges, shields that aren't heavy, and shoes that don't blister. And you sleep, and sleep, and sleep. And now, rain. Just rain. Somewhere in the distance beyond the fortress walls it begins to rain. Soft, even drops, tapping gently on the wooden beams and dust-packed ground. The kind of rain that asks for nothing, that doesn't demand movement or orders or discipline. Just listening. Let it fall. Let it settle. You're done marching for today. You're allowed to rest. And so, dear listener, may the rain follow you too, across the tile of your own quiet night until sleep takes over, slow and steady. Good night.